Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is going to be my review for 24 Live Another Day, Episode 3. Yes, I know this is a delayed review. I meant to review this yesterday, but I didn't get a chance to, so I'm going to review it now. And let me just say that this was by far the best episode of the season so far. I really liked a lot of the things that happened in this episode. There were a lot of really good scenes in this episode, and let's just get to it, because I thoroughly enjoyed this one. I thought it was definitely I thought it was a better improvement over episode 2, which I just thought was okay. Definitely, though, I will definitely continue to watch this show if we keep getting episodes like this. So, we start off where Jack and Chloe pull up to a bar where Yates and Simone were. There are 10... Yes, that girl's name that killed Yates, her name is Simone. We found that out in this episode. That's her name. Her name's Simone. So, they're 10 minutes behind the pair. Jack comes in, and they see a jacket on an empty table. He heads to the restroom, sees Yates dead with blood seeping out of his head, pulls out his gun, checks the stalls, no one else is there. He sees no sign of struggle, so he knows it's a pro, and tells Chloe she either double-crossed him or had help. Chloe checks, they're trying to figure out, they're basically putting the clue scare that, yeah, Simone killed him. Chloe checks CCTV but doesn't see her, but they do find the wig and tells her she would look different. The wig that she was wearing, they found it. So, already they're starting to put things together. So, Chloe says she found her at the tube station 6 minutes ago and says she has a device and is heading north. Yeah, the next station is Waterloo. Jack hops in the car, they speed off. Chloe navigates. Kate has the drug dealer's trussed up and asks one guy if Jack gave him the rope burn, and Kate tells him he's got a brain hemorrhage and will die if he doesn't get help. So the guy says Yates' name, and the boss says to stop talking about him. So Navarro calls Rittler and basically says they need to get out of there because the locals are on their way, and Navarro says he's responsible since Kate is working off books. The head guy tells them to piss off because he knows they're not cops, which they're not. Jack and Chloe are not cops. They're CIA agents. Kate pulls Rittler aside, and he says Navarro wants them gone and says to cut them loose. Kate keeps the leader as Rittler asks what she's doing. She pistol whips him unconscious, says he's going with them since he knows something. Rittler says Navarro wants them out, and he says to grab an arm because she's not leaving without them. Rittler is worried about the local cops, and she tells him to pick up the pace. So Jack is in a traffic hazard as he races for Waterloo Station. Simone is on a train. They stop, and Chloe tells Jack to hurry up and says she'll follow on a surface street. He runs into the station, the train is at the station, and Jack races for it. Chloe tells him she's in the 5th car, races for the car, climbs on as the doors open. He works his way through the passengers and looks around. He gets closer in front of the car, looks at Simone, and then they make eye contact. So, the first time he meets Simone, they make eye contact. She has the case, flips her switchblade open, slices her own leg as the train pulls up to Charing Crossing, just like, what the hell did you just do? And she moves to the door, and he stays nearby. She rubs some blood in her face and yells for help. Basically, she's trying to make it look like Jack attacked her. She says Jack is trying to kill her, and in the confusion, she gets away. Basically, she's making it look like Jack's the bad one here, when really she's the bad one. I thought that was actually a pretty good scene. That girl definitely knows, how to do a good mission, but... Chloe pulls up. Jack tells her that Simone is headed up to the 2nd level. Chloe checks the cameras. Simone ducks into a maintenance tunnel. A guy shuts the gates in the tunnel. Chloe says she must have found another exit. He's at street level and doesn't see her. Chloe sees a family come out of the tube, and the guy looks like her ex-husband, Morris. Simone hops into a cab, but Chloe lost her when she was momentarily distracted. Jack hops in the car, demands to know how she missed her, and she demands for Jack to take her back to open call. So, she says she missed her because she thought she saw Morris and Prescott, who are her husband and her son, and she says she doesn't know and tells him that her husband and son are dead. Which, that was a big reveal. I wasn't expecting to hear that, but maybe that's why Chloe is so messed up, because her family's dead. She had no family. Jack asks how, and she says Morris was driving their son home from soccer practice, and they were stopped at a light and were struck by a truck. So, Yeah, because of unfortunate circumstances, they're dead. I thought it was better that they were dead and they weren't killed by someone. I thought that's what she was going to say. They were, like, killed by, like, someone or something. I don't really know, but I was happy that it was, like, unfortunate circumstances rather than being killed. Alright. She says the witness saw the truck hit them drive away. Chloe begins sobbing. Jack hugs her and tells her he's so sorry. Chloe says it was supposed to be her because she always took him to practice. She says they were targeting her. That's why she basically doesn't give a shit, because she wants to die. She really does. Because she feels like she should have died, not Morris. Basically, what happens is she says they were targeting her because she knew what happened the day Jack disappeared. He said you can't bring back the ones you love, but you honor their loves. And that's a very good line, because it's true. You can't bring back the ones you love. However, because they're dead, you need to honor who they were as a person. And I just thought that was a great line from Jack. Probably one of the best lines of this episode. He says it's the only way forward. He tells her that he doesn't want to make her do anything, but says he needs her help. And says, please help me stop these attacks from happening. So, Mark sits at his desk. Ron comes in and says he looks at the protocol for handling Jack over the Russians when they catch him. He says he needs to get Heller to sign an executive order. Audrey comes in and asks what's going on. Mark says it's about Tanner the pilot. Audrey tells him he was cruel to her father and humiliated him in front of her. And she says her dad can go before Parliament, and Mark says even if he was spot on, it's a fool errand to try and get the lease extended. So, Mark opens the folder with the executive order to rendition Jack in it. He forgets the president's signature on it. Chloe says Interpol picked up the girl and said Simone Al-Harsi, that's her full name. As her name is Simone Hall Arcee, and he asks if she's Margot's daughter, and Chloe confirms she is. Here we get to see more of Margot and Simone. I thought this was definitely very well done. Basically, she goes over to her mom, who's in her garden cutting roses. She sees her daughter's injured leg, asks what happened. Simone says there was an American who was after Yates. Which is not true, you know, she killed Yates, so she's lying to her own mother, we found out. And Simone says she has no idea who he is or what he wants, but is sure he didn't follow her. And she hands her mom the case with the device in it. Margot tells her she did well and welcomes her home, and they embrace. So, Simone and Margot go inside. Her brother greets her with a kiss. He takes the device from his mom. He looks at it and says that Yates used a Naudistad bus and says he'll need an hour or more to get it online. Margot says to make it less. Simone looks at the secret and says with a smile that the targeting is done. Basically, Navid, who is Simone's real husband, comes in and she tells him in Arabic that she loves him. Margot tells him to give her a proper kiss since he hasn't seen her in weeks. He does that, then her mom sends her upstairs to dress her wound, and Margot tells Navid she knows he doesn't like what Simone had to do with Yates, but says he can't be angry with her or his wife. It's a lot like the Americans. That's what it reminded me of, because of what Nina's doing with Oleg, and then what Nina's doing with Stan. It really reminded me of that with the Americans with 24. You know, because they're Russian. It just reminded me of that. I don't know why. But Chloe and Jack go back to Open Cell. Adrian says he'd been calling them, and she says that they were tracking the phones and they had to dump them. Jack says Yates is dead and the device is in the terrorist's hands. He says it can control up to 10 drones with Hellfire missiles. And basically, Adrian says he needs the flight record of Tanner's drone to prove it. And the hackers say that Tanner is about to be dropped off to the embassy. Jack says he needs a visitor identity to get in there. Chloe says she can do it quickly with help. Jack appeals to Adrian for help. He pauses, then consents. Jack asks Chloe also for schematics to the embassy. And Tanner is brought by DeNovo to the embassy. Protesters surround the car. DeNovo tells the drone pilot that if they knew who he was, the crowd would rip him apart. The innocent pilot looks understandably stressed out. Basically, Margot tends to Simone's leg wound. She stitches her up as she wounds in pain, and she says she shouldn't have cut so deep, but her mom says she was improvising. Margot wonders how the American followed her from the apartment. She says, sorry. She says Her daughter may have been careless, but Simone says he doesn't follow her. Her mom says she can never let her down, and to remind her that she's safe. And basically, she says she's taught her that, and Simone says she has. Marga is done stitching and says all better. She puts down the medical kit, leaves her daughter to think, and that's the last scene we see of Simone in this episode. Surprisingly. Actually, no, there's one last scene we see that's kind of important. Navarro calls and is not happy that Kate assaulted a civilian. She says the guy gave her intel that may link Bauer to the drone attack that morning. She says that they're on their way to the embassy to interview Tanner. Navarro says to keep him in the loop and let him know if they have any problems getting across. So then we see the president, who he's watching the protesters on TV when Audrey comes in. He says they want blood, and he wonders if they want his or Tanner's more. Audrey mutes the TV and says she wants to talk about the parliament, and he asks if Mark wants her to talk him out of it. She says they're both concerned, but her dad says if the tree deal is going to happen, it will happen here and now. He says he's not going home without the base, and Audrey then says she knows Mark can seem controlling, but is just doing what he thinks is best. Heller asks they're getting along. She says their marriage is good. He kisses his daughter and says that's good. She leaves so he can get dressed for his event. Wait, what? Mark and Audrey are together? I thought Audrey was Jack's wife. I thought that was the truth, but I don't know. Outside the embassy, the riots are crazy. Jack is nearby. Chloe tells him that his credentials are almost right and that Tanner had the flight key they need. He stands in line at the embassy at 1:51. Kate and Ritter are still on their way. Navid comes in, goes to warehouse, pours a shot of whiskey. Simone asks what he's doing, says her mother will be furious with him. Furious with him for drinking. Takes another shot anyway. Simone follows him, tells him she loves him. She asks if he missed her, but he pushes her away. She tells him he knows what she had to do with Yates. It's get the job done, and he says that's not what's bothering him. He says he doesn't think that he can go through with it. He says he has a nightmare about women and children lying burnt in the street. Simone tells him it's natural to be scared and says it's difficult for her as well. She says it's no small thing to kill a man, but she's done it, and she will, and so will he, because it's necessary. And just what they're doing, she tells him they will go through with it. She kisses him, just tells him to just lay back, and she unbundles her, and they're having sex and everything, and Margot's watching. That's so kind of disgusting. But what's cool about this scene is that we're seeing that, you know, you do see like where they're coming from, and I do like that we're seeing everybody pretty much. Heller arrives with Audrey and Mark in Parliament, and basically Davis meets him and tells him he doesn't think he should address the body. He says they're surly today. Heller's inconsistent. Mark is upset at Audrey. She says that it's her dad's call, and he says he's not fit. Audrey gets frustrated, says he can't make decisions for her, and keeps her like a fragile keepsake. So Prime Minister Davis takes the floor in Parliament, says President Heller is there to offer some words on today's events. President Heller takes the podium before the legislators, opens his speech, and a hacker yells out, asking what he's going to do about today's incident. So, Simone looks at her husband post-coital. He lies awake with his back to her, stares with dead eyes. Kate and Ritter are still in the way. Jack is still in line. Margot stares out the window. There's a line to get into the embassy. Ritter and Kate park and get out of their car. Jack is up. The guards ask him to step forward. He says he's delivering classified documents. The hacker girl looks at her computer. Kate shows up, comes into the gate. Jack sees her. The guard takes Jack's ID and goes into the guard shack. He then scans it. Says there's a problem. Chloe asks what's wrong. Adrian says they did it. Jack says the ID isn't working. Chloe tells Jack to get out of there now. He says he can't and has to get out in there because, you know, he could be caught again. And that's not going to be good. So the guard calls out for security. Chloe warns him. He takes out his guard and takes out his gun. He hides it under his jacket, steps in with the protesters, fires the gun at a couple of people, shooting them in the legs. Kate sees him. He yells to the crowd, move and move. There's panic everywhere. Kate calls out to him, gives chase. The crowd runs through the gates, and he goes with them. Kate gives chase and calls out to him again. And that's how the episode ends. So now Jack is kind of like trapped, you know. I really don't know what's going to happen there, but this episode was amazing. I really liked a lot of the stuff in this episode. I really liked that we got to see more of Simone's personal life. I definitely enjoyed seeing that in this episode. They focused on Simone a lot. I enjoyed that because we got to see why she's doing what she's doing, and I really enjoyed seeing that. That was definitely very good. But what's going to happen here with Jack? I'm very interested in seeing what's going to happen there. We'll have to see. Also, what is going to happen with Simone? You know, what else is she going to try to do? I don't really know. We'll have to see. She's definitely going to be the main villain of the season. You can definitely tell that. Also, the whole thing with, Chloe and not knowing where her, you know, with Chloe and her dead family, that was very amazing, and I really like the way they handled that. I think that's pretty much it for my review. Overall, this was a great episode. I really enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to the next episode. So that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. My next review will be for the originals. So see you then. Bye.